If you've started Yom Tov planning, chances are you're probably stuck on night 2, right? Of course you are, because it's late and it's cold and no one's really all that hungry, but you gotta serve a meal and nobody wants grilled chicken salad. We tried that, not a hit. What you want is something comforting, a meal in a bowl that everybody around the table is happy with, and that is exactly what we're making today. We've got 3 pounds of beef stew here. You can use any meat that benefits from slow braising. I actually really like to use minute steaks that I cut up myself because I love the way that they fall apart. They get so tender, and we're gonna infuse them with flavor. So I've got Hawaiiage here, which just like brings on this new note, and we're gonna coat all of the meat in this spice before we go ahead and coat it in flour. Once all the meat is nice and coated, we wanna go ahead and add some flour and give it another mix. And now we're gonna go ahead and sear these. We've got a Dutch oven preheating here, and what I love about this is that you can actually simmer this on the stove in the Dutch oven, or you can put the whole Dutch oven into the oven and simmer it there if you need the stove space. So we're just adding a few tablespoons of oil and then adding in our meat in batches. You don't wanna crowd the pan because you wanna get a nice good sear, and if you add too much meat, it's actually gonna steam instead of sear, and you're not gonna get that caramelization that gives you that nice flavor. I'm searing these over a high flame because I want to get nice caramelization on all sides. This is how we build flavor, and this is going to give you a stew that is unforgettable. Once the first batch is nice and seared, you want to remove it to a dish and then go ahead and sear the rest of it. Once all of the meat is seared, remove it to a dish, and we're going to add in our onion, celery, and garlic, and kind of get all of those flavors incorporated into the stew. I'm gonna season this with some salt and pepper, and then we're gonna start to deglaze it. And all of those brown bits on the bottom are gonna work their way right back in. Now, to create a little more depth, we're gonna add some tomato paste, just a couple of tablespoons, and I love how convenient this is because I just keep it in the fridge and use as much or as little as I need in a recipe. And we're gonna add a little splash of balsamic vinegar, which is an unusual ingredient, but it adds like a really, really nice note of flavor here. And it smells immediately so bright. I love what it does. We're gonna let this tomato paste cook for like a minute or 2 just to develop that real depth, and this is what's gonna give you that sense that this has been cooking all day long, but really it's just a couple of hours. And stir it every now and then so it doesn't burn on the bottom. And we're gonna add a little bit of red wine. You wanna use a wine that is a good quality wine, something that you drink, so don't look for it in the grocery store. Go to a proper wine store and get something. Today we're using this beautiful bottle from Israel. And I know there's a measurement in the recipe, but you really wanna measure this with your heart. And a little bit of broth to get us going. We're adding 2 bay leaves, and then all of this meat right back in here. Now cover and simmer for about 2 hours. You can simmer over a low flame, or you can pop this in the oven and use your flame for whatever else you need. The Dutch oven works in both places, which is why it's such a great staple to have in the kitchen. That is good. Nice. Oh, yeah. 2 hours later, and you'll notice the meat cooked way down and it's nice and buttery soft. And now at this point, we're gonna add in the potatoes and the carrots. But first I'm gonna add a little bit more water so that it doesn't thicken up too much. And you can add the potatoes and the carrots in the beginning when you're stewing the meat, but then I feel like they break down a little bit too much for my liking, and I like for them to be a little bit more tender. So I add them in at this point, give it a nice stir, and then continue to simmer for another hour or so. What's great about this recipe is that it freezes beautifully, or even if you don't want to freeze it, you can actually prepare it and keep it in the fridge a few days beforehand. Now cover it back up and let it cook for another hour. Oh yeah. 1 hour later, and one of the meals for Yom Tov is off the list. Look at that. Oh, gorgeous meat, tender potatoes, delicious carrots, everything you need in one bowl, in one pot. What? Get out of my face. It's not good. 1 second, please. Where am I going? I don't know. For a walk. You hear it? You hear it? 2 more minutes and we're ready. Did you hear me? What? She told me California. No? What? Is it not from California? I measured it with my heart. Yeah? That's the end. It's not an easy job, but somebody's got to do it.